Mr. Zelensky was having a meeting today with President Biden at the G7, and he has conceded that Bakhmut, he says, it's a pity, it's a tragedy, but for today, Bakhmut is only in our hearts. He hasn't said that Bakhmut has been conquered. President Putin has confirmed the claim by Yevgeny Prigozhin that they now have complete control of the city. He has said, Putin has said that Russia has won the battle for Bakhmut and that all the troops who excelled would get state awards. But Ukraine still disputes this. Even if Prigozhin's claim is correct, and it's a very typically aggressive claim. He stands and pontificates for about 5 minutes, lots of shouting, lots of bellowing in front of his troops with a little flag held out like a stained nappy. Even if Prigozhin is correct and he has won, there's almost nothing left of Bakhmut to call a city, even a minor city. So it does fall very much into the realm of a Pyrrhic victory. Pyrrhic victory is a victory where the effort has been so great that although technically a victory, there's very little achieved, and their own forces, the winning side's forces, are severely damaged. I think that's certainly true of Prigozhin, and remember, he can't gather more forces from the prisons anymore. So is the Wagner Brigade damaged beyond repair? From that point of view, I think probably it's not a Pyrrhic victory, but from the point of view that there's nothing left of Bakhmut, absolutely. There's this wonderful Latin quote, Ne ego si iterum, eodem modo vicero, sine ullo milite epirum reverta. And Plutarch alludes to this probably, and he says another victory like that would destroy Pyrrhus. Pyrrhus was named, Pyrrhus is a sort of pun on the word red-haired. So Pyrrhus, I suppose, is the Prince Harry of the ancient world. And I feel that the Duke of Sussex has much the same instinct, victory at all costs. Even if it destroys him, he's not going to stop. And actually, that is very much part of the Albanian spirit. Remember, the Albanians during the Second World War, absolutely determined. The Albanians under Skanderbeg, the great Albanian leader, trying to free themselves from the yoke of the conquest by the Ottomans. Thucydides described the Epirots as barbarians. So did a few other ancient Greek writers, but Pausanias, more a later Greek, described them as Greeks. The point about the Epirots is that they shared the same religion, and they shared a sort of a dialect of Greek. There are many dialects of ancient Greece, and they had the same gods, and they particularly had a strong reverence for Achilles. And such an important area, and indeed even Edward Lear, when he was travelling in Greece during the mid-19th century, and in Albania during the mid-19th century, he was travelling in the north of Greece, in the south of Albania, and he described it as the journal of travels in Albania, but a lot of the travels were actually in northern Greece, and so many of my friends in southern Albania speak very good Greek, and there's very little between the Greeks and the Albanians in that area. And so even today, it's the identity is sometimes difficult to establish. But Pyrrhus was determined to win, and he defeated Rome in 2 battles, at the Battle of Heraclea in 280 BC, and then at the Battle of Asculum in 279 BC. But he had an extraordinary assembly of Albanian troops 20,000 infantry, 3,000 cavalry, 2,000 slingers, 2,000 archers, 500 slingers, and 20 war elephants. I never really thought of war elephants being native to Albania. I mean, next time I'm in Tirana, I will look out for an elephant marching down the main street. But it's maybe the elephants came from Egypt. I think the Egyptians had promised soldiers and elephants. I don't think they delivered very much. But the problem was most of these troops were destroyed, and while Pyrrhus had won and had killed a lot of the Romans still had more troops they could draw on from northern Italy, and Pyrrhus was forced to flee to, I think, Sardinia or Sicily or something, and that was it. He lived on for another. He lingered for another 5 or 6 years and then died. I don't think that Prigozhin and Putin should crow too much about this one, in the same way as I don't think that the Romans had much reason to crow when they killed Megacles, thinking that he was Pyrrhus. They failed. And I think when history is written, the siege of Bakhmut will be seen as a shabby act and a disgrace in the 20th